peace, power, and positivity. We're going to call this part 2 of episode 7 because I didn't get to properly exit the way I wanted to. And also, too, I don't think I really got to clearly convey my message in that episode. So we're going to kind of fill in the gaps, if you will, here a little bit. I think I left off somewhere along the lines of choices and how choices have impact on our everyday struggles and everyday life, right? And how they have consequences and ramifications on our everyday life. Real quick, technical difficulties happen, right? So I ain't really tripping. But damn, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Like, let me take the glasses off because these motherfuckers is busted. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. It's tough trying to do this shit, but it's cool. Everything is squared away now. I think as best as possible. But long story short, let's get back to these choices. One thing that I really wanted to bring home when I was talking about that is understanding that everybody says control what you can control, right? I think sometimes that's almost in today's age used as an excuse not to take control and take action into your own life, right? Because again, yes, control what you can control, but you can control a lot and you can inflict a lot in what happens in your life by your choices and your actions, right? So that's kind of what I get at because it almost gets to a point to where it seems like we don't realize how much control we have with just our actions, our voices, our character, our implementation on what we do in society, right? And I say that to say this, we got to gear away from quick fixes on how we react to certain things and how we act on certain things is what I mean too. Instead of being reactive, be proactive. And with that proactivity, don't bullshit it is what I'm getting at. If you know there's something you could do and you could do better, do it. And don't half ass it in a sense to where a quick fix example when it comes to controlling what you can control in this instance would be like knowing you can control your emotions, control your attitude, but do the deeper investigation within oneself to actually realize, okay, well, what made me upset? And after what made me upset, what am I willing to do better so then I can then impose that on society? And people watch, people pay attention to these things. At least I like to think so. I like to think that people gravitate towards people who have that type of interest in betterment of society, right? And so it's easier said than done, right? Because when somebody wrongs you, you're quick to anger and quick to respond back, right? So I feel like that's kind of telling of kind of the world we're in now is why that is the way that is. Like people being so quick to anger instead of just being like, you know what, maybe that person is going through something and then, reacting and retaliating back. And I gotta admit, like even I fell short to that. So I fall short to that from time to time. But again, doing the work and actually trying to better oneself and controlling what we actually can control and making the choice to want to do better for myself and actually making the choice to do the work and stay the course of doing said work, right? Of self evaluation and self liberation in a way too. Like just kind of just melting all those ideas and things together because that's again, that's the course of action when it comes to really wanting to be the change that you see in the world. Because if you again take all of these things and peel the layers back, right? You can't change the world unless you change yourself. And you can't really change yourself until you realize the things that, you know, realize your shortcomings, realize where you lack at, realize where you can self improve. And that self improvement comes down to controlling what you control and making wise choices. And kind of what I was getting at in the last episode. I don't know if it was in the part one or in the many various part twos I try to make in the midst of technical difficulties, but I kind of made a point of because we have said choices, we got to be careful that we don't let I don't quite remember how I worded it, but choices can go a long way, right? And all I was getting at is I feel like again, I'm not better than anybody. I don't have all the answers to everything. I just feel like along the way, I just made maybe smarter choices, and I never really capitulated to the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I kind of just had my own tunnel vision with a lot of different things in the way of thinking of that sorts and so on and so forth. So I say all that to say, like, again, a lot of what we're experiencing right now is because of a whole lot of bad decisions and bad choices. Obviously. Easy put, right? But again, when you start pulling back the layers and realizing, shit, these are choices that could have easily been made differently if they just decided to, again, not let self desires and not let flesh get involved. Because that's another thing, too. Well, we're all here for a good time, not a long time, whatever. And I understand that. Again, that's why I understand that this isn't everybody's fight. But I want to, again, reassure and tell you why it's important to at least acknowledge why we're in the state we're in is because of these choices, is because we're chasing a feeling. Everybody's chasing a feeling. We all have a job, right? And why do we have that job? It's because we want to make money. Why do we want to make money? It's because we want to get the things we want. Why do we want to get the things we want? Because getting the things we want brings us peace, happiness, comfort, whatever. Those are feelings. Whether they be temporary, whether they last a long time, they're just feelings. And we're all chasing feelings. We're chasing money to chase those instant feelings, that instant dopamine hits. And once I started breaking that down and realizing, like, damn, I'm just chasing a feeling essentially. I'm not really living, I'm chasing a feeling. So when it comes to things of that nature, it made me start really, again, like, peeling back, self-reflecting, and realizing my choices and what those choices mean going forward. And I don't make choices based upon feeling, right? Sometimes I make choices off of sacrifice of feeling, knowing that I'm not gonna benefit or gain any sort of quote unquote positive feeling or enjoying feeling out of the choices that I make. So again, that's kind of the avenue I'm kind of talking about when I talk about the choices that we make. And I feel like some of those choices that were made back then, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even a little bit now, is they were all made off of choices of not sacrificing. And that's an idea that's a little bit convoluted and kind of hard to explain in a way, just because if you get it, you get it. And if you don't, it would take more than a podcast to really explain that. That's why, again, I want to have more conversations with people so we can, again, break this stuff down and kind of make it a little bit more digestible for you guys. But essentially, that's kind of where my mind's at, is figuring out, okay, how do I get people to understand and draw them out of just this feeling, just feeling all the time, and having this sense of wanting this self instant gratifications and things of that nature, because that's all that socials is bogging you down with, and all what's around us is bogging us down with, is these things that are going to make us attached to the feelings easier, right? So that's I'm trying to break us free from that, so then we can have, you know, I guess I don't know what kind of experience that would be besides more of a freeing experience for everybody, and, I guess more peaceful in my opinion. But again, that's also my opinion. I'm not gonna hold you guys for too much longer. Again, this is just a filler in of episode 7. So I guess we can call this episode 7.5 or whatever. 7 point something part 2. Whatever. But yeah, no, you guys, it's I really just want to continue to just push the narrative of taking back our own control of our lives, not letting anybody else think for us, not letting any getting away from binary thinking, getting away from thinking self-centered, and being, more individualized in a way. And again, there's a difference between being individualized, in my opinion, and being self-centered, right? There's individualized and self-centered is kind of the same thing. But what I'm getting at is, like, there's a difference between, like, doing things for yourself, being a little selfish at times, and wanting to do for others, than being individualized and self-centered, right? When you're individualized and self-centered, you're very much isolated. You're very much not doing things for the best of the people, is doing things for the best for yourself, best interest of yourself. And again, taking, because everybody's an individual, everybody has their own opinions and their own thoughts. That's what makes everybody unique, and that's the type of experience that need to be shared with others. And we have all these shared experiences and shared perspectives to then grow. Versus, again, individualism of just I'm just get my money and make sure my family's right, make sure my family's straight, and not my community and everything. So everybody else is straight for everybody else's family to be straight. Again, a hard concept to kind of grasp and comprehend in a way because of the way the world looks now. It's almost like, yeah, I can never see myself giving more for somebody else than myself. And I get it. Again, very, very easy, very much an easy said than done thing. But it's just one of the things that's been on my mental lately. Again, is just trying to figure out how to connect the dots for you guys, make things a little bit more digestible, what's up here. And then also, too, just trying to figure out how to get people to get out of the mindset of individualism, capitalism, and also think and not think self-centered, and then switch that mindset to think for the people, think for the community, and not be hive mind either, because hive mind is different than community, right? Because that's like the negative part of group. There's a positive part of group and there's a negative side of group, just like what I was saying earlier about individualism versus being a little selfish at times. There's a difference between like a negative part of being by yourself and a positive part of being by yourself. It's the same thing with groups. So the hive mind would be the kind of like the negative effect, right? Where everybody's thinking the exact same thing together. I don't think that's dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Think have the same morals, have the same values, that's cool. But the exact same thing together is never a recipe, because then there's no room for interpretation of different values, different beliefs. There's no room for that. There's no room for true growth in that avenue. So gotta be kind of careful when doing things of that nature as well. But again, that's just kind of some of the ideas I'm trying to throw at people. Just at this point, if I'm being honest with y'all, a lot of the pod, the first maybe 15, 20 episodes is gonna be a lot of throwing shit at the wall, throwing paint at the wall, and seeing what kind of art we get from it. Because again, these are conversations that need to be had, and I'm not scared of having the hard conversation. But I also too want to make sure I'm doing it in a digestible way, and also to do it in a way that's not really disrespectful to, again, not disrespectful to people's backgrounds. You know what I'm saying? I get everybody, again, everybody has their own shit, everybody has their own whatever going on. So again, I gotta remember, I gotta take self out when it comes to that, because again, I put so much into this, and you guys seen the first few episodes where I was really gung ho about what we need to be doing. But again, I had to draw myself back a little bit and realize, like, damn, like, as important as this is for me, I gotta make sure that I understand that, one, we're all human, obviously, but two, it really is that important that not everybody come into this on their own time, but it kind of, let's just keep it at we're all human. Let's just keep it there. We're all human. So at the end of the day, none of the bullshit really matters besides just humanity, and doing what's best and what's necessary for the best of all of us, right? And I'm gonna continue to push that forward, even when it's difficult, given the circumstances that I'm in, given the circumstances that a lot of other people are in, and also too, um, given the state of America. Like, let's keep it a buck. So it's, again, these are things that are easier said than done, easier to discuss than to actually draw a course of action. But that's why, again, I'm trying to do my part with at least lending my voice. But I also always want to make it a very much an accountability thing, to where if there is something that I could be doing, and I don't know it, but somebody may have the answer to, I'm willing to jump on board if it's not anything ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? That's not gonna get us, like, you know what I'm saying? Even though I ain't gonna lie, I'm willing to die for what what I believe. But it's a whole separate subject. I'm just being more practical and more realistic about what I'm talking about. As long as it's not illegal, as far as like the everyday aspect of it. I really want to inflict change positively, and even if it's incrementally, like, and that's the biggest thing too. Like, I'm not one of those people who's unrealistic and thinking like, I'm gonna get behind the mic and everybody's gonna listen to what I have to say and blah blah blah. No, it's no, I'm not that type of nigga, bro. I've never no. I'm serious about what I believe in, and I'm serious about my people. And I cannot stress this enough. That's why I say it damn near every pod. I just care so much about the progression of us and the betterment of us that I'm going to continue to drive home the hard conversations that we need to have in order to have easier conversations later. Yeah, we got to get through some of the ugly in order to get through to the pretty. Yeah, that's pretty much it, y'all. Again, I don't know everything. Not the smartest nigga in the room, but I just care. And anybody who kind of can, vouch and have the same and has the same sentiments, this pod is for y'all. So like, comment, share, subscribe, continue to support as much as you can. If you don't end up listening to all of it, that's completely fine. Just pick, kind of parts that, that you do fuck with, and then share it with somebody. Cause that's again, this is just topics of discussion. So if there's anything that you guys seen in the pod, or that you want to talk about, or even go take a deeper dive, like, message me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do believe I'm not even gonna sit up here and lie and act like I know all my socials and shit right off the back of my head. I don't. So maybe I'll put that shit in the description somewhere. But like, I really do want to try to build a community here too. So really, honestly, reach out to me. All my cousins who watch this, send this to y'all friends, and you guys too. Continue to reach out to me too. Continue to uplift me. I see you guys in the comments. I appreciate you guys every single time. I love y'all, bro. Like, I want this to be for us too, y'all. So again, you guys continue to reach out, message me too. What could I do for the family? How could this be something for all of us to benefit in that way too? Again, this is therapeutic for me. This is easy for me, but I can only imagine how it could help our family in a way too. So again, let's keep driving home the message of hard conversations and betterment for our people. But that has been episode 7.11. Yeah. I'll see you guys in the next one. I know it's middle of November and there's still no guest. I'm so sorry. I promise you guys, they was lined up, but again, life happens and people have scheduling conflicts, so it happens. But I promise you, and I can assure you, there are still guests. Just trying to work it out and try to do it the best way I know how, given the circumstance, because it is a real world that is outside. So that's it. I'm gonna catch you on the next one. Peace out.